Hey, it's Big Jeff with another unboxing. And I keep saying now video after video because you're just seeing B2 Audio nonstop, but it's just because we were invited to do the marketing and become one of their distributors, and B2 Audio USA has been sending us the product first. So my deal is to get this stuff out there, and that's what we're doing. This is the 015, the last of the 0 unboxings. And we've unboxed the 6 and the 12. We did some dynamic runs on the 6, and we plan to do certifieds, and then the 12. But the 12 and the 15, because they create over 20,000 watts, a little bit more difficult, and they got to come up with a plan with that. But we are here talking about the 015. As you can see, this thing is huge. So we had to move the cameras back, lift it up, crazy. But let's have some fun with it. Hey, before I start, hit that like button. Leave a comment real quick. You can always leave another one later on, and share this out. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, follow and like us. And if it's YouTube and it's the first time, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it helps us out greatly with these videos and giveaways and everything else. Okay, Korea, where this baby is built. And I don't know how to pronounce this, but the Vegas.
So let's break down how you pronounce this name. In Icelandic, it's said Vegvísir. Vegvísir. Okay,
I'll spell it out for you. Vegvisir. Is also referred to the Viking compass. Now, each of the 0 amps, and basically most of the amps, have some kind of mythological designing or marketing.
Cool Indiana Jones stuff today.
And this is the Viking compass signal right there, symbol. And it says it guides you safely through rough weather. This amplifier will guide you straight past to the divine power, utilizing potential control of your subwoofer with authority. Go Jay home for this behind the scenes planning. But this thing is huge. Let me grab a tape measure real quick. Okay, so this thing is 39.5 inches. It's a big amp, man.
That's what she said.
And I ain't gonna lie, this is not your everyday amp. It is also not your everyday price. This amp is what is it? Geez, it's expensive. $3,999.95, basically $4,000. But this is a 15K certified, and we're gonna get into it. But this amp here is a fuse rating of 1200 amp. This is definitely a possible 20K plus amplifier, and it can do half ohm.
Yes, it can.
And this thing is crazy. So let's get into some of this stuff. I'm gonna crack it open too so we can see all the cool stuff inside, but I gotta get up to do this. So we're gonna start with the Big Jeff cam from the side here.
Jeff cam activated.
And here you got power clip protect. Okay, we have gain subsonic, low pass from 35 hertz to 250. There is a 0 to 180 phase. Now, I've talked about this in other videos, but we're gonna go over it again. Master and Daisy, I'm gonna go back over. If you notice, there is a left and right input, and there is an output and then another input. And what is that? That relates to the Master and Daisy. And then on the fans, you have off, which I don't know why people would ever have it off, but there is the reason, I'm sure. Thermal, which means they kick on automatically, and then on. And then you have 8-gauge outputs, 2 positives, 2 negatives. And then you have a remote in, a remote out. What that means is it will switch internally, and you can use this instead of a relay to turn everything else on. And if you are running this in Daisy or Master, you will want to use that anyway. I don't know if you noticed, but it did have Tiffany style RCAs, obviously. Okay, here we got really cool.
Cool? Yeah, really cool.
This is 0 gauge, and I can put my whole fat finger in there. Ground, ground, positive, 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 ground, ground. And that was done on purpose. I've seen a lot of amps really mix that up. People don't pay attention, and you could really scar up an amp by swapping power and grounds. This also is telling me I have 4 inputs.
More input, more input.
for the power supply. And even on an amp like this, I would probably end up running double aux into each one. So to do something with this amp, this is not going to be your everydayer. You need not one or two, you need, you know, at least 2 or more alternators. And when we're talking about battery power, which Yinglongs you can do, but you're talking about something that can pull 1,000+ amps. I mean, you got to have some power.
More power.
This is for you guys that are really competing. You need a ton of power. I've seen guys in the past run some of the zeros and multiples of them. We plan on using one of the zeros in the B2 audio hair tricks done by Big Jeff for 2 of the 33s. I just haven't figured out which one. But this amp here will need 100% copper, multiple runs, alternators and batteries. You're going to get into this game. And you're spending $4,000, but this is 100% Korean. And man, I've talked to people when we started selling B2 audio that have amps from the Zero line, because they had the 12 and the Zero, I think 45, the Rage 5. They have amps that are still working.
Good, really good.
To this day from years ago. And you know, that's what it is. Plus, I love the look. I love the mythology. Okay, so we got to get into, because unboxing an amp isn't as cool as dynoing an amp, and that's not going to happen until a later video. Even to dyno this properly, the SMD over here, the 81, doesn't even go up that high one of them. So I might have to come up and use the Term Lab or some, or maybe dyno this at like 2 ohm, and then we can kind of guess that it would double power. I don't know. I'm gonna figure that out for you all. But let's go over some specs. Rated from the factory, and when the factory rates these, understand they're not using a bank. They use a really big power supply, which will supply voltage and amperage. But when you're hitting it with the dyno, you know, even these big power supplies that are made to test electric car motors, it's still different. But RMS at 4 ohm, it says 5,000 watts. RMS, and these are certified numbers. RMS at 2 ohm, 8,500 watts. RMS 1 ohm, 15,000. So certified, which everything we've done for B2 Audio has done over the certified. Obviously, dropping this thing down to a 0.5 ohm, if you're able to supply the amperage, I'm gonna say, and I'll put my name on it, definitely is a 20,000 watt amp, okay? But you gotta be ready for it. It is a Class D frequency response, 10 hertz to 300 hertz. Signal noise is 95. Input sensitivity is 6 volt down to 0.2 volt. I have seen that over input actually gets a negative effect on these Zero amps. If there's too much input, you actually hear a buzzing sound. Back it off right away. I've had a bad experience. I learned my lesson. 4 volts on an input is perfect. You don't need any more. Crossover circuit is 24 dB per octave. Low pass filter, we said, was 35 hertz to 250. It did have a phase adjustment. Dampening factor, negative 400. We talked about 4 zero gauge runs, and then the fuse rating was 1200 amp. And what do they mean by that? Well, these amps don't come internally fused. You are recommended, and better do it, run a inline fuse per output. So if you're going to do doubles, I would put a 500 amp on each run if you're doing doubles, which should give you enough at that point. But if you're just going to run this bare bones, it's not going to work. Definitely fuse it.
Fuse.
Okay, so Korean amp. Some people believe in them. Everybody loves copper in Korea, but they don't want to pay the price. There's a lot of stuff they claim is Korean, but it's not really fully Korean. This is, okay? That is 100%. You want something that's gonna make a ton of power, be efficient, and last long, this is the way. Plus, if you do blow it up, they're a lot easier to fix. And normally, because there's not hundreds of them blowing up, you can probably get it fixed pretty quickly. So this is a beast. What I want to do is flip this over, which I'm going to need help, and I'm going to take the plate off. This thing has multiple power supplies and big caps, tons of MOSFETs and fans, and we're going to check that out. So with Movie Magic, you're going to come back and see it flipped over. I'm going to start unscrewing it, but I got to get somebody in here. This thing weighs, I don't know, it was over 50 pounds for the amp. I mean, you got subs that weigh that. So this is a beast. I'm Big Jeff. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. That was how quick it is. So a couple things I didn't do before we did this. It does come with a bass knob. It is Cat 5. It is the big one, but it's plastic, voltage, temp, clipping, all that. I don't know how many people that are using something like this or more are going to use that. Generally, they're going to use their own type of bass knob or, you know, DSP or what else, but it's there if you want to use it. And it is Cat 5. So, second, we were talking about Daisy, Master, Slave. There is a difference. So I learned this. Master and Slave came about where people wanted to put 2 amps together and 1 amp controlled it. Basically, the amp passed through the other one. So if it was a 1 ohm amp and you're doing a Master Slave, you basically need to raise the impedance. Being a 1 ohm amp then would create a power of 2 ohms. Could it do less like these that are made capable of doing half ohm? Possibly, yes. But that's what that is. And then you would basically master and slave it where one controlled everything. Daisy chain, which is kind of the same, and I'm not really sure why they would have the 2 different, but daisy chain basically is, well, no, I get it, because when you do master and slave, it would be to run, say you had 4 speakers and you wanted to run an amp to each 2. Master and slave would allow you to run the 2 speakers to 2 amps, and then it would control all the speakers on the same circuit. That make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Doing a daisy chain is 2 separate circuits, but one controls the other amp, which means you don't have to get the gains matched or the crossover settings. So if you want to run, well, I'm just gonna say 1 woofer and 1 woofer, 2 separate amps, right? You could do that and control the gain and crossover by 1. With Master and Slave, the 2 amps become 1 and it's 1 circuit, and that's why it basically raises, because it's like a series type of configuration. So for you guys that need more than this beast, and you're gonna put 2 of these or more together, the option is, do I want all the subs on the same circuit, or do I want them separate? Either way, you're able to run that and control it through 1 amp, the first one, which is kind of cool. So that is the Daisy and Master. Bass knob. Some people use the factory, but if you're using multiple, what are you gonna do? Line them all up? At that point, most people do a voltage, some type of LED readout with voltage and or amperage, and then they're doing hopefully a Big Jeff bass knob or a B2 audio bass knob to control it. So there's a ton of stuff out there now, wireless and everything else. So I know people still use it. On an amp like this, I don't see as much somebody using it. On a smaller amp, say the Ride or Rages, and they're doing 1 amp on their subs, and they want to control the bass, I can see it. But it does come with it. Now, I'm taking the back plate off.
Don't try this at home, boys and girls.
And there is 4 fans on the plate itself. So, please do not become a repair guy. We just hired one, and you don't want to get in here, and we'll know that you're in here, because the moment you break it, there are some things that most people don't know about that show signs of it. On this particular one, I'm going to assign, actually, let me do it now so it's on video. Anything like dyno or test or open up to make sure they know it's covered. So I'm actually going to put right here, hold on. This is 125.25. And then I'm just gonna sign it. Okay, this means that I'm the one, this is part of the video. So if they get it like, oh, it's not brand new, somebody return it, that won't happen. Okay, and let me grab a screwdriver. Thank God for this beautiful setup I have here, for all this cool stuff. Okay, so we took all the screws out. I did documentate that I'm the one opening it. It's on the back side, so it's not going to be seen or hurt your display. And as you can see, this here is attached to the board. So I'm going to turn that around real quick, and y'all can see there's 4 fans. And it's kind of cool they did. I wonder why they didn't just do wires. There's actually a board. I'm going to guess maybe it does temperature through there. I didn't look at the schematics yet, but I really should. But there are 4 fans that are controlled. So I'm going to put this over here. Okie dokie. Man! Wow! This thing is huge, guys. Okay, so, okay, I don't even know where to start. Let me grab the up close and personal camera.
Up close and personal.
And then, here we go. Okay, so there's your inputs. And you can see they are, I've seen one of the smaller boards out, and it's multiple solders. I mean, these things are not coming loose. I did see in a video a repair guy that talks about vibration is the killer. So right here are these bolts here connect the side rails. If those loosen up and this piece bends back, it could pull on the MOSFET chips.
It can break.
These are signs that a good repair guy can tell everyone. So, you know, try and act like it just happened or it wasn't your fault. There is mains. Think about when you get a car and you got to do oil changes and check your tire pressure. It's the same thing here. Okay, so this actually looks a little bit different than the 012. One, I see 015, and even the way these are done looks different. So if you check out the video of the 012 unboxing, you'll see. But they did use 8-gauge wire to connect to the board. And it does even say on the wire Korean, which is cool. MOSFET chips, I mean, I could count them up if you want. There's 2 on each one of these plates. Let me show you. There's 2 on each one. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 28. So 28 there. And then you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 there, and then you have the same thing on the backside. A lot of MOSFET chips, okay? The board does look a little different. All right, and then we have our caps with the Riot Guy logo on them. And I'm looking at the wrong side. Let me see if I can turn the camera around. Let's see there. Yep, there you go. 250, there you go. 1500 UF. And then somebody comment, I forgot, Jay told me 1,000 times. This is like they call a mini board. It's basically the actual processing. And you can see it. This is a half bridge amp, which you can tell right away. Let me tell you, there's so much capacitance in here. I don't know if that's even a word. You can go back to the real camera. There's so much capacitance, capacitors, that even on the 012, having it on the bench just powered up, you could feel the heat radiate sitting there without it even like really working, just on. There's a lot of power going through this thing. It probably hurts you pretty good if it's that. And man, you got to be careful. This is not everyday stuff. This is not, oh, my buddy's been doing this for 20 years out of his house. And you don't want to put that in somebody's hands. You need to investigate, learn, go to a reputable shop to have this wired up install. Be careful, even the wire you're using. Okay, some of the wire, obviously, you know, is copper clad, and some of it's really even bad copper clad because it's more clad, which aluminum, than copper. And then even what they have now, the copper tinned, which makes sense for corrosion. Some of the manufacturers, and I'm not going to get into names, but put more tin than they should.
How dare they?
And the only way to really know is melting that down and seeing the separation. Tin copper is good. You're getting copper and it's tin, so corrosion. But if they use more tin to offset the cost, it's not good. So I would definitely not cheap out on the power. And then for the electrical. Then you know, we're a MechMan dealer. I believe in alternators. I've had the same ones in the Yukon that do great, but whoever you want to go through, you're going to need some constant recharging power. Batteries. Oh God, there's so many different types of lithium now, and it's a war. You just got to match it up though and make sure you have enough storage to supply when this is banging, and especially competing. And then think too, with your alternators, get it checked, because depending on the pulley size and that, how much is it really creating that idle? So you might want to check it. That was a misconception where some people wanted a bigger amp alternator, but the reality is you'll get more power quicker with a smaller one. And I learned that from MechMan. Big shout out to Tony. So what he's saying that is like a 300 something amp alternator will do that, but it has to really wind up. And it's made to do that while the vehicle is really driving, even if you adjust the pulley size. A small amp like a 240 actually gets there quicker. So at a lower RPM, you'll get more amperage. So just because it's 300 doesn't mean you're going to utilize that when you're just idling or kind of revving it. So look into that, and you can also get with MechMan or whoever else and ask them. So anyway, let me turn on the Big Jeff cam. Let's look more at what you want to see.
So sexy.
This amp is so big that even the 012, when I put pictures up last weekend, some guy commented, oh, that's 2 different amps. I just love when people comment, they have no clue. It's the same amp. This thing is just so big. Let me know what you think. Does any of this stick out? Does any of this make it better than others?
You do know.
Is it, you know, ask all the time, is it just the amount of MOSFETs? Is it come down to me? Well, what is the technology that makes this better? What makes a Korean amp more rugged and last longer than a non-Korean amp? Why can this go down and play half ohm, where I've seen other amps that are Chinese that can do it, but they just don't last? Or those amps will do it, but I've seen it's distorted power. This will be, you know, clean power for the most part, even at half ohm or lower. And I've seen some guys take real Korean stuff and go lower. Now, if you're combating an impedance rise, depending on the box, and you start earlier. But looking at this, there's actually 2 separate boards in here. So this piece comes out, this piece comes out, and then you have your power rail. I'm just telling you guys, it's just so cool to look at something this crazy and big. But it's a beast. It's heavy. So I know it's unboxing amp and you just want to see the dyno. We're going to try to get to that. There's a lot of product we're doing. Videos take a really long time. Big shout out to anybody that does this for actually like a job, YouTubing and that. I do it just to market. There's a lot of work even here with all the stuff we have in time and setup. So we will get to that. We have a lot of new B2 products. So check that out. Big shout out to B2 Audio and B2 Audio USA for taking a shot on Big Jeff to be a part of that and to get the stuff first. We just got our first container from B2 Audio USA last week. So we're tons of product. We're one of their main distributors, and I know they're setting up dealers, so contact them. Or if you want to buy smaller, not a buy-in, we have a dealer program on bigjeffaudio.com. Become a dealer. And I know they are looking for sponsorships with online creators and guys that compete. I just know now, if you don't even have a car build, never had one, they're not just gonna give you this huge discount. It's not for free. But I know I just saw some announcements. Guys had product. They were competing already, and they planned out a system because they already sent over what they wanted to do to swap out the equipment they have, like their doors and their amps and the other stuff. And they got a huge discount to be a part of the team B2 Audio USA. We also have the Hummer, Frank. We have my Yukon. And there's a couple others that hopefully we can meet up at the same shows, but it will be putting together to go to shows. So here you go right here, the 015. I'm Big Jeff. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Don't kill me. Be nice. If not, I don't care. But thank you if you're part of the platform, helping us spread the word. That's how we do all the giveaways we do is by you all helping share and spread the word. We got tax season coming up. Take advantage of that on all the product we sell. And then keep checking back at the videos. We got a ton of product, ton of videos. And we do shorts and unboxings and testings and everything else. So I'm real excited. Listen, I'm Big Jeff from bigjeffaudio.com, representing B2 Audio, B2 Audio USA. Thanks again for watching another video. I'll see you on the next one.